you doing, y'all? Matt, Massive Beers here. A little bit of, brewery I haven't reviewed in a little bit. Reason for that be this. A little bit of Pariah up in this piece. Yeah, this is their FunYum India Pale Ale. Fresh, juicy FunYum. Very much the bubblegum kind of can that you come to expect as a child. But bonus points for the Pariah logoing. That be some sweet prints and Revolution font choices, which I'm all about. Reason behind this being a little bit, since I've reviewed one of their beers, is on the back here. If you can read that. Actually says Pariah Brewing Company, San Diego, and Baltimore, Maryland. They're in process of moving to Baltimore. It's a big move for them to go all the way completely across the whole country. And they've been busy doing all kinds of things, but they're back in the swing of sending out beers. That's where I got this. Let's dive into it and see what's what. I finally locked my ISO at 800. I think that's about the right ISO I should keep this at. But as you guys can see, there's a little bit of brightness, auto brightness kind of coming on with this sucker. So I'll get it all. I don't want to spend a ton of time on getting everything straight because I'm going to be moving the she shed, but I'm working on it. So label-wise, like I said, anytime there's, Prince font involved, this dude's going to be very, very happy. And can-wise, that's pretty cool. So there you go. Leave that there. So you're talking about a 6.8% IPA. Let's read about it. It says, what you were holding is a Pariah IPA featuring unique hops known as cashmere. In this glass, a FunYum pours a deep glowing orange with a fluffy head that persists throughout. On the nose and palate, you'll expect soft notes of fruit, cocktail, tropical coconut, apricot, and bubblegum. A large percent of the oats in this grist provides super soft mouthfeel, yet allows FunYum to maintain a clean finish. It actually it's hazy, but it's not the haziest beer in the world. A distinctive and a fun entry into our hop-forward portfolio of offerings, no doubt. We hope you enjoy as much as we do. 6.8%. So yeah, the nose does know. Yeah, it's very much tropical fruit, and I know this for me. It doesn't get all the way to like a bubblegummy thing, with the can and everything. You're kind of expecting this bubblegum portion of the show. Not really getting that there for me. It's more of just a kind of almost like slightly candied kind of tropical fruit. Nothing too over the top, nothing too heavily aggressive. Just a nice soft tropical fruit. A little bit of soft, not soft, a little bit of sweet graininess. Pretty much done and done. It actually comes off with a West Coast influence as far as malt bill goes, but it has that new school kind of hopping to it, and there's not much as any kind of precursor of a big bittering on the nose either. It comes off very much just sweet, tropical fruit, juicy. Doesn't suck. Let's dive in. Cheers. I mean, that's really where it leads or lives or exists, is in that sweet tropical fruit. Not overly sweet. We're not getting into like cloying territory here, but it's appropriate with what you'd expect from like a nice tropical fruit. It's just this big, juicy, getting that bubblegummy, more like rich, kind of sweet and slightly candy kind of tropical fruit without getting over the top kind of sweet. It does kind of follow through with that promise of having a nice satin-like silky kind of mouthfeel, but it finishes relatively clean and snappy. Almost an IPL kind of territory. It follows back with this nice kind of bittering. Nothing overly aggressive again, but there is this kind of purposeful bittering there that kind of helps just keep that sweetness of that tropical fruit in check. It's actually really well made. And I kind of sound like a jerk right there, actually, it's really well made. I'm not gonna lie to you, the last couple Pariah beers really weren't my bag. There was a lot more misses than hits, kind of them leading to kind of moving the brewery. For whatever reason, this didn't land for me. This is really, really tasty stuff. You know what this reminds me of very much? Reminds me very much of old school New England style IPA. By that I mean the Heady of the world, the Second Fiddle of the world, those kind of beers, the Sips of the world, what those were back in the day. They've changed. Maybe, they might say, oh no, they're the same recipes. Listen, Heady is not the same beer. Is it delicious? Hell yeah. Was it delicious before? Hell yeah. It's delicious now? Yeah. markedly different beer. But this kind of reminds me of what those beers were back in the day. So that old school kind of what cut the cloth of the new school kind of New England style IPA, very much that. So it has that little bit of bittering going on. It doesn't really get to that weed characteristic a lot of those kind of held, but it has that nice sweetness. It has that big kind of tropical fruit to it, and it drinks really, really well. It's kind of like one of those like hazy IPAs that appeals to the old school mentality kind of thing in a very, very tasty way. I think this is delicious, you know? I kind of wanted something that was more like bubblegummy, you know, for me, just because of the can and stuff like that. But what I ended up with was a really nice, tasty IPA. 6.8%. It's kind of where I like my IPAs to live. I love me low ABV, but when you're talking about a straight IPA, this is what I think of, and this is kind of the impact I want. I want that nice kind of new school hoppiness. I want that bittering to play a role. Here it's a little bit more backbony, a little bit more structure than anything else, but there's nothing wrong with that. And just a mouthfeel going from that kind of silken, kind of softerish, not super soft, not like super turbid, with softerish mouthfeel, finishing clean. Can't really complain here. Am I a complainer? Not really, but you know what I mean. So there you go. I'll tell you, man. Is it Mount Rushmore status? It's, man, if we whittle it down, in the blanket thing of things, top 4, that's a very hard level to reach. I'd probably lean no, with the caveat that it's deserving to be up there. And if we kind of whittle it down those old school New England stylish IPAs, and it's up there, especially ones that have had as of late. Actually, I don't know the value and availability on these. They usually send out paperwork. I know one box, they sent me 2 boxes. One came, and then 2 days later it came. One had notes on it, the other one didn't. Hopefully it's not too pricey. We'll see how their price point stays, changes, or shifts with the move to Baltimore, and leave you with, if you like what we like this. I usually don't do that anymore, but we'll do it here. If you like those beers that I talked about, the fiddles, the sips, the Haddies, you will dig this beer. So there you go. How about that stuff? I talked about a beer, eked in a little bit of old school massive beers. Such is life. So, as I've been wont to do as of late, though, is what I really want to do is have you guys talk to me about this beer. What's your experience with Pariah? New, old, the whole nine. What do you think of those beers? What do you think of this beer? If you've had this beer specifically, please let me know. And if you're in the Baltimore area and you don't really know much about these guys, keep an eye out for them, you know? And because they've been doing this kind of hazy, not just hazy, they do a lot of different stuff over there on the West Coast, but they're going to be bringing it to Baltimore. And that will not suck for y'all. So reach out down there. Let me know what's what. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hope to see you next time. Cheers.